Before creating your first component, you need a project, right? And honestly, what's better than a single command to do so, thanks to Vite CLI? Going through the installation wizard steps should be straightforward. But if this is your first time exploring the React or the Node.js world, I highly advise you to check out the previous video in the series. In this video, you will learn all you need to know about creating React components. So without any further ado, let's dive in. Now that we've initialized our Vite project, let's jump over the app.tsx file located within the src directory. Once you've done so, you will notice that Vite comes with a predefined counterexample. As you can see, a React component is just a simple JavaScript function that starts with a capital letter and returns a code that looks just like HTML. Let's simplify this code by deleting everything inside the app function and making it return a simple container div that wraps in h1 header and in an ordered list with a few random list elements. When implementing UI interfaces in React code, we tend to mentally break it into many components. So how can we create another component that renders a random image and then reuse it inside the app component? As we said before, it's a matter of wrapping your HTML in a function. Let's place it just above the app component. The component returns an image HTML tag with the following attributes: an alt attribute to support screen readers, and an src attribute that we will set equal to a URL generated by Lorem Picsum, which is a website where you can get a URL that loads a random image every time the page gets refreshed. Note that we didn't have to use the parentheses in the image component because the returned code is only written in a single line, in contrast with the app component where we had to use the parentheses because the code spanned more than one line. Next, let's use it in app. We can call it as we call a normal function inside of the returned HTML, but there is a more optimized way to do it, which is using this tag syntax. The code is ready. All that remains is to start the development server by running the following: pnpm run dev or npm run dev. Subsequently, we need to head into http localhost 5173 and inspect the page. React injects the final HTML into a div known as the root div. As you can see, the HTML is returned by the app component and its child image component got merged together and then injected inside the root div. While this works for a small demo, in a real web application, defining all the components in a single app is neither practical nor scalable. So let's create an image.tsx file at the same directory level as app.tsx. Then just copy the image function declaration into its own dedicated file. Every file in JavaScript is considered its own closed module, so anything that is declared there is not accessible unless we explicitly export it. There are two ways to export our component. We can add the export keyword next to it and then import it in app.tsx like this. This approach is called normal exporting. A file can have many normal exports. We can also add the default keyword before the function name when exporting it to indicate that this component is a default export for the image.tsx file. As the name implies, a file can only have a single default export. Before moving on, there is one common mistake that can silently kill your application's performance. Never declare a component inside another component. Doing this enforces React to treat the inner component as brand new on every single update. This destroys any chance of caching or optimization, leading to potential performance issues. HTML files can get really big, and just making sure that the tags are closing properly is honestly a big drag. React takes a modular approach by dividing the problem of building complex interactive web pages into smaller sub-problems or building blocks known as components. But there is an important point that we avoided talking about during this video. Can you guess? Yes, that's right. We kept saying HTML-like code, but we never explained why. Well, because that's not HTML code. It's actually a syntax extension of JavaScript, and it's called JSX. In the next video of this series, we will reveal more secrets about this mystery. Until then, happy coding!